Hello, folks. Grown Black folks story time. When listening to a love song tempts you to despair about the future of Black men and women. Now, it's not on a personal level. I'm single. But I've heard a lot about a particular song. I'm not going to name the song or the artist because what I'm not trying to do is get us to be all upset and focus on a person. I want us to think about the concepts. Because something that we need to do more of is to get past how we feel and to actually think about what is being said. I've heard a lot about this song. Oh, I like this song. I want a copy of it. What's the name? Blah, blah. It's been going on for a little while. I actually sat there long enough to actually listen to the words. It's beautifully produced, beautiful voice. And it is a Black man singing to his queen in what is meant to be a complimentary way. Now, it could be a retrospective on a long relationship. If someone had gotten up and said this to an individual, and this person was around my age or any older, it would make sense as an individual testimony just because of the way Black life is and has been for a long time. And the older you are, the more likely it is. But someone chose to put this out for public consumption as a love song, meaning that it is meant to be taken as an indication of the kind of love Black men do have for Black women. And so the first words of the song were, "You're beautiful and wonderfully made." And so I'm sitting here thinking, okay, good. This person understands, has read Psalm 139. Okay, this is good. I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Okay, it's a reference to that. So this is a Black Christian man making a reference to his Black Christian queen. But the next thing he says is, you're so strong in the midst of the struggle." I'm like, okay, return. I know we're not doing CDs anymore. I know we're not doing CDs anymore, but we can return it right there. That's the end of the game right there. Like I said, if a man stood up and said this, he was, 40, 41 or older, and said this about his wife, whom he's been married 20 years, and all the rest, this could be taken as a a retrospective on the way that it was. That's entirely possible. But we all know that Black women are the only race of women in the country who are complimented for how well we can struggle. That was number three. There were a lot of other things that you talk about, but that was number three. It was the first thing that is a long phrase. So, what impression did this give? And I say this because we pretty much know that when Black men approach other races of women, this is not how that goes. Why? Because Latino men, Asian men, and white men are all more successful. So their women cannot be approached that way. A Black man knows he has to be able to bring something more than a half completed plan with which a Black woman needs to struggle. We know this. What may not be as understood is the extent to which Black women are aware of this now. Some of us know that since you're not going to approach anybody else that way, why should we put up with it? Because a man should be able to come to a woman and improve her life, not say she's beautiful and wonderful and can I now throw you into a struggle. And what I don't think is also understands when we make this our mass testimony, and again, this was an attempt to be complimentary. She's a queen. She's not a B or an H. This is progress. But see, here's the thing. People never think. You know how a Latino man or an Asian man or a white man who's successful interprets that about black men? From the Canadian Shield down to Tierra del Fuego. It does not matter who it is, black men are at the bottom of the male caste across the Americas. They hear this, and so do well informed women of every race, including an increasing number of black women, and say, wait a minute, you met a beautiful woman who was wonderful, and you threw her into a struggle, and you did not relieve her of her struggle? You ain't much of a man. This is the problem. And because, again, the genie will not be put back into the bottle. We know that there are certain women that are not asked to be made to struggle as a to be considered beautiful and wonderful by a black man. You have to sign up for a struggle. Is this what it has to be? Now, if we accept that in the 21st century there is no other possible prospect, if we accept that black men cannot get themselves out of their struggle sufficiently before choosing to be with a woman and choosing a queen, if we have to accept that the best a black man can be is a struggle king, what does this mean? I don't think that's the impression. Again, and I know that there are going to be some people that are upset by this because, again, it's progress compared to what black men publicly have been saying very loudly. Not all, but a lot of people in the industry have been doing. So this is a step above. This is a song written by a Christian that is attempting to be complimentary. But gentlemen, this is not it. This is not it. And the fact that the archetype of the good black man does not know not to put the first long phrase about how well a black woman can struggle tells me we are in trouble. Why am I not in despair? Because I'm single, single. And because I absolutely will not deal with any man who has that mindset. And I learned something else I have to listen for. You may think I'm ever so wonderful, but now I've got to vet you to make sure that you're not thinking I'm beautiful and wonderful because you want to throw me into a struggle. Now, as I said before, Black life involves certain struggles. There are certain struggles I'm involved with now on behalf of the community and 120 to $150 million worth of stuff. There are going to be struggles I'm involved with. My parents continue to get older and making sure that in a healthcare that does not value Black elders the way it should, that's going to be a struggle. I understand that life is a struggle. And again, that song could have been a retrospective on a long relationship where people went through the struggles that go with being alive and then being alive as a Black person in America. That's possible. And again, if it had been a testimony that a man was presenting about his wife that had been with him since he was however old and whatever they went through, I would have understood. But as for mass messaging, this is not it. This is not it. Beautiful, wonderful, now struggle. Be strong and struggle. A lot of us are tired. And I personally will vet out any man with that attitude. It's not a question of color. I was pulled by a white veteran into a struggle. Um, just before making this video, you're seeing it in the morning, but just before making this video, that's a whole different story time. Man absolutely flipped out and then made the mistake of trying to pull me into it. I ain't the one. Y'all already know that. Y'all already know how that went. If you know me at all, I ain't the one. It isn't one race of people. It's just like, okay, man, whatever it is you plan to do in the future, I will not be part of it. I don't you just introduced yourself, your project. I understand you mad, I understand you flipped out. I'll accept your apology, but when this is all done, you about to get muted because we about to get blocked because it's just like never again. Never to the ever. And one of the other gentlemen that I dealt with in the past, he begged for a long time. Would you just no? I already no. Don't ask me again. Cause when you did that little blow up a couple years ago, no, the answer's still no. It ain't changing over here. It's not about race. It's about approach. Ladies, be careful. Of course, some of you already know this. Some of you already know this. Some of you have already dealt with men who were buttering you up to try to get you to become mom and pick up the burden and carry them the rest of the way. Some of you have already been through this. I'm not telling you anything new. But what was so much to temptation to despair is that this is the good Christian black man representing himself as someone who one thinks we're beautiful and wonderful and so strong in the midst of the struggle. Is this what we doing in 2022? About to move toward 2023? Today's November 1st. We got about 2 months to fix this, and we're going to be looking like this in 2023. And I'm going to say this again, as upsetting as it is. Other races men who are out here doing what they have to do so that they can relieve their women of struggle are looking at black men hearing this stuff like, okay, you supposed to be the good man, and this is the songs that you putting out. You ain't much of a man, because if you were, you would be doing things and singing songs about relieving your women's struggle. You wouldn't be singing songs publicly about them, you loving them because they struggled. It's not a good feeling. I'm a Christian woman. That's not a good feeling because now I'm looking at well, different story time about dating churchmen in San Francisco. As I get older and I get more information, now I understand a little bit better. This song was clarifying in the worst possible way. You quote Psalm 139 and then try to put me in the Great Tribulation. Well, maybe not the Great Tribulation, but some small tribulation, but it's big enough. Gotta do better, y'all. Gotta vet better. Gotta present better. Please. I mean, really. All right. Thanks for listening. You have a good night now. Be careful out there. Just because it ain't Halloween today doesn't mean you don't need to be careful. And y'all love these love songs already. Make sure that you listen to what they have to say and what they're programming you for. Pay attention. Pay attention. All right. Goodbye. Thank you for listening.